When the NBA implemented the rules around restricted free agency years ago, the objective behind it was really to allow for teams to have the upper hand and leverage in retaining the players they drafted or young players they traded for while still under their rookie scale deals. Restricted free agents allowed for players who have entered the league to play for 4 years under their rookie scale contracts, at which point they can become free agents at the end of that deal. They then have the ability to go out and get offer sheets from any team around the league, just like an unrestricted free agent would have the ability to do, but the biggest difference being their current team has the ability to match any offer sheet they can receive to retain said player. And the concept, the idea behind it has worked in practice, where you've seen instances of restricted free agents going out and getting contracts from another team, and their current team uses their leverage to match the offer to keep their player. And of course, you've seen instances where a player gets the offer they're looking for, the team who owns the rights to match opts not to because it's too rich for them, and the player walks, or the team agrees to a sign and trade. Restricted free agency, for the most part, has been a fine balance of giving the players some leverage and freedom to get the kind of contract they're looking for or playing for the team that they desire, while also giving the team control and leverage of their own to let the market dictate the value of their player and giving them the upper hand to retain their guy. But over the years, restricted free agency has shifted to the point where the restricted free agents have little to no power or control over their next contract, and the team having all the power, leverage, and control of their quote-unquote free agent, to the point where the player is essentially stuck and left to the hands of their franchise to control their next contract. That is especially the case where you see more often than not teams extending their own free agents early and having little to no cap space to even be able to make a compelling offer to restricted free agents who are expecting a big payday. And this offseason, that has especially been the case, where we're seeing one of the longest standoffs between some key restricted free agents and their respective teams, to the point where it's possible we may not see a deal done until we near the start of training camp. Why and how did we get to this point? Well, let's talk about it. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel and you'd like this type of content. In return, I'll be providing more NBA content like this. Now, usually around this time of year, in late July, I'm doing my annual video of the best and worst contract signings of the offseason, but we're all kind of just waiting to see how the dominoes fall on these key remaining restricted free agents, these 4 free agents who, at the time of this recording anyway, remain unsigned. Those players being Josh Giddey, Jonathan Kuminga, Quentin Grimes, and Cam Thomas. All guys who are good players, not all-star or superstar level players that are worthy of max contract extensions, but strong enough players that deserve big paydays based on their current production and their age. And yet, here we are heading into August, and hardly any traction, at least what's been reported anyway, hardly any traction on any of these guys getting closer to a new deal with their respective teams. And a big reason for that is because each of these players want their bag. They know what they're worth, or at least they think they know what they're worth. They've seen what some of their draft counterparts have gotten, and they've been holding firm to getting that. The problem for them, though, is there is no team around the NBA that has cap space to even come close to offering them more than the mid-level type money. And because cap space is all but dried up, their current teams know this. They know they can't go out and get a competitive offer for them to be able to match. And they're offering them contracts, or at least starting negotiations, at very low points well below the player's value, because they control what the market value is for these players, giving them an offer that is more favorable to the team and saying, take it or leave it, because we know you're not going to get an offer better than this. Now, the only other option that gives these restricted free agents some level of control is they can take the qualifying offer. The qualifying offer is a one-year deal that is essentially a 5th year to their rookie contract that is scaled for an additional amount at a slightly higher rate than what they were paid in their 4th year. They take the qualifying offer, bet on themselves, and then become an unrestricted free agent the following offseason, where they can go out and get any deal they want, and their team loses control of having any matching rights. The challenge with that, though, is twofold. One, taking the qualifying offer means taking significantly less money, even if it's just for one season, and then hoping you're able to secure an even bigger contract as an unrestricted free agent that would make up for the lost earnings from that one-year qualifying deal. And of course, by betting on yourself, playing on the qualifying offer, you also run the risk of injury, having a low-performing season that tanks your overall value, and you end up getting an offer as an unrestricted free agent that was less than what was on the table as a restricted free agent. But two, even if you take the qualifying offer and say you have a stellar season and you've proven you're worth a big contract, there are still no guarantees, especially in today's NBA environment under the new CBA, that teams are going to have an ample amount of cap space and will be able to offer you a very large deal. So while there is some leverage these players have, it all ties back to the team having control because they know their guy is stuck between a rock and a hard place where they're forced to take a less than ideal offer to secure guaranteed money now for the long term. Let's take Josh Giddey as an example. His qualifying offer is set to be $11.2 million. What's been reported is that Giddey is seeking something in the $30 million a year range, while the Bulls have been pushing something closer to $20 million. Whether that be a 5-year $100 million contract or 4 years $80 million, Giddey would effectively be leaving $9 million on the table this upcoming season by taking the qualifying offer instead, and would also run the risk of missing out on a guaranteed $100 million over 5 years should he get injured next season, resulting in an even lower contract value. That difference in potential loss in earnings goes up even further if the Bulls are actually willing to offer, say, 23, 24, 25 million per year, and Giddey still takes the qualifying offer, hoping to make up for that difference over the course of his contract when he becomes an unrestricted free agent. And so for all of these 4 restricted free agents right now, it's a matter of assessing the risk-reward ratio. How much are they willing to risk in earnings and betting on themselves for a potential higher payday? Or do the pros outweigh the cons of just taking the guaranteed money right now, taking that offer sheet that they have before them from their respective teams? The other thing too is that there doesn't appear to be any significant trade interest, third-party interest in any of these free agents where they could work out a sign and trade to get to the contract amount that they want. There's been some interest from teams in Kuminga for a sign and trade, but nothing that the Warriors are willing to accept in a trade deal. For Giddey, Cam Thomas, Grimes, there's been nothing rumored or reported of a team looking to make a sign and trade for these guys. And so what you're likely going to see as the days go on into the offseason, into the fall, it's going to be a game of chicken to see who blinks first before the October 1st deadline, which is the last day players have to sign the qualifying offer if they don't reach a new deal by then. Do the teams cave and give the player what they want to avoid the risk of having them walk for nothing in free agency next summer, or does the player give in? Say it's too much guaranteed money to be walking away from and reluctantly signs a deal below what they were hoping to receive. Timing is sometimes everything in the NBA. These restricted free agents unfortunately hit restricted free agency at a horrible time where there is no cap space around the league and they're essentially backed into a corner by their own team with little room for negotiation. And so if I had to take a guess to predict how this is all going to play out, I do think this is going to drag out into September for each of these guys. I think some will ultimately take the qualifying offer, namely Cam Thomas and Quentin Grimes, and Giddey and Kuminga will sign more team-friendly, shorter-term contracts that still give them an out to get back into free agency earlier and hope for a larger contract at that point in time. I would love to hear what you guys think, though. You let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.